Hi, Dr. Joe McGinley here at the M Building in Casper, Wyoming. You're listening to The McGinley Difference. This is Season 2, Episode 4. We have a special guest with us today, Adler Caudle. Adler, welcome to Casper.
It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
First time in Casper?
Yeah, first time in Wyoming in general.
First time in Wyoming, wow. Yeah, it's a unique state, isn't it? Coming in, it's just wide open land and not things you see in other states.
Yeah, it's not what I expected. You got mountains, but wide open land. It's cold. I was prepared for that, I guess.
You know, believe it or not, it's been warm most of the year. This is one of our first cold days. So, yeah, we've actually been seasonably warm. But, you know, it's an amazing state, that's for sure. And you drove up from Colorado, correct?
Yes, so I've been in California doing physical therapy, flew into Denver yesterday, and then drove up from there.
Okay. Well, obviously, you're out here at the McGinley Clinic, so we're going to be doing some work on you today. We'll get into that in a bit. But, you know, I want to tell your story. You know, you have an interesting story, obviously, your career coming up through the mini bike ranks and early pro career. Obviously, an injury that is devastating. We'll talk about that a bit. We have some funny stories afterwards, so lighten the mood. Some of your colleagues threw you under the bus a bit, and I got that information. And then we'll talk about what you're doing and where you're going to be going. So we really, it's fascinating. It's great to hear, you know, how you've persevered through all this and got to where you are today. But let's start out your passion for motocross, passion for riding. How long have you been racing?
I was racing for about 15 years up until I got hurt. Started when I was 3. My dad rode a little bit when I was born, and that's kind of what sparked my interest. It's all I ever did once I decided I wanted to ride. And yeah, started when I was 3 and was going to continue it forever. I mean, I planned on riding as long as I could. So
I've seen you ride a few times, again, really fast. You were one of the prodigies coming up through the ranks. You were at Loretta's multiple times, Mini-O's. So you were one of the up-and-coming riders, raced the Combines. That's, I believe, where we first met was at the Combines. What do you remember back from those days in the riding? I mean, what was that experience like?
It was, I mean, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I would go back and do it all again, knowing this was the end result. Just, you know, my love for the sport grew over the years. Even through the ups and downs, you know, I think the sport in general just taught me a lot about, you know, life. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed my racing days.
Right. And, you know, everyone knows sports are dangerous. Every sport's dangerous. You can get injured in any type of sport. Motorsports sort of get a bad rap for that to some degree. But if you're not doing what you love, I mean, what's life about, right? I mean, you got to be out there. You have to be doing things that you get up in the morning for and say, I love this. I do a lot of stupid things that people are like, why are you doing that? I climb mountains all the time where, you know, there's injuries and deaths, but I enjoy it. I wouldn't trade it for the world either. I know the risk associated with it. And as do you and every other person that puts a leg over a bike. I still ride even right now. And I know I can be injured and it can affect my life and career, but it's what I love. It's what I like to do. My son rides as well. So I feel that passion for sure. And it's glad to hear that, you know, that hasn't changed at all and you still have the passion for it. We'll get into where that sort of went sideways after the injury. But, you know, so now we're coming into 2024. You finished up at Loretta's and you're pro at that point, correct?
Yes, sir. I had gotten my pro card at Loretta's and had planned on doing outdoors 2025.
Okay. All right. Now let's get into the injury. This was September 2024, correct?
Yes, sir.
What was happening that day? I mean, regular race, regular day, right?
Yeah. So I had just gone pro, so I was making money now, was trying to hit every race I could. There was like a little night race that was like 3 hours from the house. And so me and my mechanic were like, yeah, dude, like we'll go make some money. And drove up there and night was going great. Just made a little mistake, ended up going over the bars and landed just right and ended up, you know, being paralyzed.
Wow. Life changed at that point, correct?
Yes, sir.
I mean, what do you recall from that injury initially?
Initially, when I hit the ground, I remember feeling like being crushed. You know, I landed directly on my head, so I felt like my body had just been crushed. And then I'm laying there and I realized that I could only feel part of my body. And so, you know, I'm like talking to my mechanic, talking to the medics, and, you know, didn't know what life was going to look like after that. You know, I remember laying there and being like, I'm done riding dirt bikes. I don't want to do this anymore. Wow. You know, that quickly changed. But
And they assessed you immediately, got you to the hospital at that point, correct? So you were awake, so you weren't knocked out or anything like that?
Yes, sir. I remember all of it.
Wow. So you, after the crash, you couldn't feel your legs.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was a weird feeling. I literally had to like look down. I felt like my body had like been chopped in half, only being able to feel my upper body.
Wow. Any pain with that injury?
Yeah, there was some pain. It wasn't my worst pain, but it was more of like an awkward feeling.
So they got you to the hospital and I'm sure did scans. How quickly were you in the operating room?
It ended up taking almost 3 days. So originally they had told me my spinal cord was severed when I got to the hospital. And then, so surgery kind of got postponed a little bit. And then we went in there and did surgery and they were like, oh, well, it's not severed. And I was kind of like, oh, well, would have been nice to do surgery a couple days ago. But it, is what it is.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Sometimes it's hard when you look back retrospectively on those things. And you had a T5 injury, so thoracic spine, T5, a fracture of your vertebrae, as well as near complete cord transection, correct?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. So you had surgery, and then the hard part starts, right? The recovery, I mean, both physically and mentally. By that time, I'm sure, the devastation of the injury is setting in and life's already changing. I mean, what were your thoughts after you came out of surgery?
I never really had any negative thoughts. It was kind of just, all right, we have another obstacle. Let's get through it again. But I mean, the learning everyday life again was obviously frustrating mentally. Not knowing how to dress myself and stuff is very frustrating. But other than that, there wasn't a lot of, negative thoughts, but there were frustrations.
Gotcha. Yeah, the positive attitude really is key in these situations. I mean, you can easily spiral. Obviously, when life changes, you're a pro rider and then, a crash at a local track and then life's changed at that point. It's very easy to get sucked into that negativity and coming out positive. I mean, that's what is necessary to be successful and really get a good recovery after these type of injuries. And that's, easy for other people to say, but when you're in that situation, it really does take an incredible effort and perseverance to make that happen. And you had, family support, team support, lots of people around you helping you, correct?
Yes, sir. No, my family and friends were, I tell them all the time, they were a major role in my early days of recovery. My parents weren't even at the race. They were like 3 hours away. My friends were with me, but they were, they're comforting. And yeah, so I really wouldn't have been able to do it all without the support of my family and friends.
Takes a team effort, like anything else.
Yep.
And then Road to Recovery, let's talk about them. They've been an incredible asset to riders across the entire country and all type of injuries, but especially spinal cord injuries. Road to Recovery steps in quickly. They help to manage the complexity. It's hard to even describe to people what it takes to make this happen and just to change your life. But how quickly did Road to Recovery get involved and what have they done for you?
So my injury kind of happened in the middle of the night. Like I said, I was at a night race, but they reached out to my parents the very next morning and were immediately involved. I hadn't really talked to anyone yet. Obviously I was navigating my early days, but they were already helping with, financial stuff and just kind of writing a plan for my life and recovery. And then once I got, a little further along, I got to talk to Mike Young on the phone. And, he just really gave me a ton of insight on what life was going to look like after a spinal cord injury. And, I'm glad to call him a friend nowadays. We talk all the time. And, I still call him with questions about, my body. It's still changing. I'm only a little over a year out. So, the guidance and the financials and just knowing how to navigate an injury like this was super beneficial.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't aware of that. It's not just the financial help with Road to Recovery. They're literally your friend on the phone if needed for anything, for questions, for guidance, for support. They're there whenever you need them, from everything from changing how you live your life to making changes at home for access to even getting, wheelchairs or support devices as needed.
Yep.
Road to Recovery helps the entire process and they're still helping you today, right? This injury was in September of 24. You're still working with Road to Recovery, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'd work with them. Like I said, I see Mike once or twice a week, talk to him all the time. He helps me out. He's measured me for both my chairs. Road to Recovery helps me, still afford the therapy and gives me, guidance when I need it.
Yeah, it's a great group for sure. And you still have an open site on there for fundraising. So anyone that wants to help contribute to your costs, they can still go to Road to Recovery, contribute directly to you. They can contribute to Road to Recovery in general. All those funds are going directly to you, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, Road to Recovery doesn't take a dime. So anything that gets donated goes directly to the athletes, which is, super nice.
Yeah, anyone listening out there, really do encourage you to contribute both to Adler and Road to Recovery. I've had a chance to speak with Jimmy Button and Mike, and they're just great guys. They want to do what's best for the riders, and they want to help you guys normalize your lives as much as possible and help whenever needed. And financial support is really key. You just can't understand the expenses that get covered. People say, well, don't you have insurance? Insurance only covers a small portion.
Yeah.
And that's usually the hospital stuff. It's not all the other, 1,000 things you have to deal with on a daily basis. So yeah, it does make a big difference.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I mean, the injury doesn't stop after you get out of the hospital. We still live this every day, and living paralyzed is not cheap. So it all helps.
Yeah, we're proud to help them as best we can and help you guys whenever we can as well. And it's just, it's admiration really for what you're able to do and keep going and pushing through and continue to better yourself. I mean, how old are you now, Adler?
I just turned 20 in November.
Yeah, so you're 20 years old and you've had a lifetime of adversity at this point, and you're still here smiling with a great attitude and willing to push forward. So you are here in Casper. We're going to be doing some work on you here today. What we're going to be doing is some regenerative medicine. We're hoping for the best in this situation. Expectations on a procedure, from 2024 on an injury, low expectations, but really these are the options that are available. So some of the companies I work with have been generous enough to donate some products so that, we can do this injection for you at no cost. So we're really glad that we were able to get that and make that happen. And they said yes right away. I called up and it was actually you and Jerry. I said, I have 2 riders that are injured. Can we get free products? So do no charge on the procedures. And they said yes, like without even a phone call. I just responded an email, said, yeah, no problem. We'll send them out. So we're going to be doing that for you today. We're going to be injecting your spine with some regenerative medicine, stem cells, and some other products. And again, it's a near complete core transaction. So we're hoping for the best, but expectations overall are low. And I just want to make sure people are aware of that. We don't want to give false hope to people listening out there, but we also don't want to not try, right? Because you don't know unless you try.
Yep. No, that was my biggest thing. I know it's not a high chance that it's going to help anything, but I've been, hitting it hard in therapy for the last year or so. So I want to check all my boxes and just, make sure that I can say I did everything to gain stuff back.
Yeah, because regret can last a lifetime, right? So if you don't do it and
Yes, sir.
you see someone else that did do it and they had some improvement, then yeah, that regret lasts forever. So yeah, I'm glad we were able to get this set up for you and finally get you out. There are some delays getting you out, so let's lighten this conversation a little bit and talk about some of the delays in getting you out here. Some of your friends have already thrown you under the bus and filled me in before you got here. Let's talk about some of the activities more recent in the past few months after your injury. You were back out riding on a bike again, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I got back on a bike a couple months ago, and I got back on a bike twice.
Okay. All right. So, and this is not like a Doug Henry type mod bike, right? This is your standard dirt bike.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No. It was one of my buddy's bikes that is able-bodied. So
yeah. So regular bike. So first time went well. So you said you did this twice. First time went well. Tell everyone again. I didn't believe it the first time I heard. Tell everyone what you did first time to get on that bike.
So yeah, my friends lifted me on there. We threw a tie down from foot peg over my lap to the other foot peg and sent me off. And like I said, first time went great. Second time, not so much.
Yeah, these are regular tie downs for your motorcycle, right? These aren't anything special. These are what that bike came tied down and they just got it and strapped you to the bike with the tie down, and then you went out riding.
Yes,
and you
sir.
were the first time you hit and jumped and everything else, right?
Yeah. So we took a tie down out of the back of my buddy's van and threw it over my lap, and
oh man,
yeah, I went out on the track, was hitting jumps, felt good. I was like, oh, dude, I didn't lose it.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay, so second time didn't go so well. I mean, obviously in retrospect, this sounds like a terrible idea. When I first heard it from Jerry, I didn't believe him. I was like, nah, there's no way. You can't, how tie down's going to work. But he showed me the videos, and he pulled up the video and showed me the video. So second time obviously didn't go so well. What happened the second time out?
Yeah, so the strap came a little loose, and obviously being paralyzed, I can't hold myself on the bike. I hit this little double, and my hips fell off the side of the bike, and I was strapped to the bike still, so it just pulled the whole bike down with me. And yeah, not my finest moment.
So you hit pretty high. I mean, you had a serious injury then, right? So you were knocked out on that one, correct?
Yes, sir. Knocked out, lacerations to my spleen.
Which required a procedure to stop the bleeding. Right?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, technically that type of injury can be more serious than your spine injury. You know, if you have a severe spleen laceration, you can actually bleed out and die on the track. So yeah, you're lucky on that one. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good story now. You made it. You're here smiling and laughing. But man, when Jerry first told me, I thought he was making it up. And you still have this video on your social media site. So anyone that doesn't believe me or doesn't believe you, they can go check this out, right?
Yeah, yeah. The video is posted. Somehow both my accident getting paralyzed and this one are both on video. So
wow, that's insane. Well, I mean, good for you for trying. I mean, you know, it's one of those things. If you don't do it right, we talked about this earlier. If you don't do it, you're going to think about it for the rest of your life. You're going to say, hey, you know, I want to get out there and ride. You scratched that itch, right? That's what you said on this one?
Yes, sir. I wanted to do it at least once. I should have done it only once. I tried twice and it didn't go good the second time.
Gotcha. So no more of that. No more tie downs on that. That's for sure. Okay. So now what are you doing now? Like we were chatting a little bit earlier. You got a lot of great stuff going on. So, you know, you're not letting this hold you back. You're moving forward and you're going to try to contribute back to the sport and athletes. So where are you at? What are you up to these days?
Yeah. So I love the sport. I have a deep passion for the sport, want to stay in it. And I feel my way to give back now is on the mental side. As someone who went through injuries their entire life and you know, just took the normal path of, you know, amateur all the way to pro, I feel I have a lot to give back mentally. And so currently I'm in college, enrolled at Oklahoma State, doing it online. That way I can do therapy as well. But yeah, I plan to be a sports psychologist within the next few years, start working with athletes in moto, and then eventually, you know, broaden my practice and go to all sports. But for now, I'm sticking with moto and what I know. And yeah, I'm excited to keep going.
Yeah, that's great to hear. For people that have listened to me over the years, I talk about the mental side of the sport all the time, and it's really underestimated still, even at a top pro level. You know, the riders out there, a lot of them are teenagers coming up and they have so many stressors going on in their lives. They see all their friends that are out having fun on the weekends and, you know, they're there training 7 days a week and watching their diet and dealing with injuries and dealing with social media. It's just unimaginable, the stresses that are involved in this sport. And the mental coaching side, the psychology side is still lacking. We're going to be trying to build this as part of our partnership at Club MX with the health facilities there. We're going to integrate this into the program for the riders. As you know, when I speak at the combines and everything, I highlight it all the time. I do a survey of the room all the time, and I think probably less than 10% of the riders have mental coaches. Whereas if you ask for all the other coaching, nutritionists and everything else, 80 to 90%. So the mental coaching is still lacking even at an early level all the way up through the ranks. So for those listening out there, I'm sure Adler's going to need some internships along the way, and I'm sure I'd love to work with the riders. So definitely keep them in mind in that. Reach out to us when you get to that point as well. When you're looking to do some on-site training and working with riders, we'd love to get you involved in that. It's a critical part of the sport. It really is. You spend all this time on your bike, your money on your bike, training, everything. But if you're not mentally prepared, all that's sort of wasted, right? If you're out there distracted, thinking about other things, not focusing on the track, it's going to impair your results, even resulting in crashes in some situations. So it is very important. Great to hear that you're doing that and moving along with your college career.
Yeah. I was always someone who struggled mentally with racing, not so much on the depression side, but with the, performance anxiety. I was someone who was really good in practice and struggled to show it at the races. And so I think that's why I have a lot to teach. Yeah,
that self-experience that you have is going to be great for injured riders, uninjured riders, everyone, parents probably as well. Parents are part of that. So yeah, it's going to be great background, and having your interest in the sport is key. And you'll be working with a lot of great riders, I'm sure.
Yes, sir.
So with that, we'll wrap this up. We got a procedure to do on you here shortly. So again, I want to thank Adler for coming out. It's great seeing you again. It's wonderful to hear your story. It's wonderful to hear where you're at and how you persevered. Again, a little bit of comedy mixed in there as well. I'm sure you can chat with some of your friends when you get back. But we'll get you on here to the procedure and then see where the results go.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everyone, for listening in to the McGinley Difference. I'm Dr. Joe McGinley with Adler Caudle. Again, to contribute to Adler, go to Road to Recovery on their site. You can contribute to Adler directly or to any of the injured riders. Road to Recovery is an amazing organization. I really do recommend that you support them as best you can. Let's look forward to following Adler in his career, and hopefully we'll see him back there on the track, not on the bike, but helping with other riders with the mental coaching. Thanks, Adler, and good luck on your travels.
Yep. Thank you, sir.